We're back.
Woo!
To the
It's been a long time.
Hammock Life.
So much time, I had time to do laundry and wear the same shirt.
I mean, someone had to clean
Mine's still drying
Someone had to clean it.
from last episode.
You're a clean episode. Nice. Well, welcome to the Hammock Life. We're going to hit you up today talking about Oktoberfest. Realistically, we're in the thick of it, tail end of it. If the festival was actually going on, we would have, been going on. The sad news for people who didn't know was this is the first year since World War II. That's right, World War II, that Oktoberfest, the proper festival, has not been held. It's pretty impressive.
I think we need to have a moment of silence for Oktoberfest.
Before a moment of silence, subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like button, all that stuff. Share with your friends and interact with us. We want to hear your questions.
And once you hear that bell, silent.
All right. Moment of silence for missing Oktoberfest this year.
You know how to be silent, do you?
I'm over it. Let's go. Bill, you're supposed to do the moment of silence and then give that segue right out of the moment of silence.
I'm not sure I know how to be silent.
You don't. I do, if there's a dog.
Yeah, or someone interrupts them.
Interrupting houses. Anyway, so we're talking about Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting topic because a lot of people surface level know what Oktoberfest is on some level. Some people think directly of the festival that's held every year. Some people think of the beer that comes out every year.
I think of Beer Fest, the movie.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. When Farva tries to drink himself out of a bright tank.
I love that you call him Farva when he's not.
Because
Farva
he's
in that
Farva.
movie, but he's not in that movie.
That man will always be Farva. I don't care what movie he's in. He will always be Farva.
What is this? Powdered sugar? Delousing powder. It's delicious.
So let's dig into it. So let's first focus about the. So there's a lot of elements, right? So people a lot of times think Oktoberfest beer style, obviously, but also you're thinking like the festival itself, and so. Chicken the egg kind of thing. The beer actually comes from the festival. So let's just talk like for 5 seconds for people who don't know about the festival, like what it is really quickly, and then we can dive into the next portion of it.
Yeah.
I know you had a couple notes there, Bill or William.
Yes, I mean just simple stuff. I mean talking about it's a festival that's held every year in Munich, which is in Germany if you don't know, and it dates back all the way to 1810. Which is a long time ago.
That's older than me.
A long time ago. It's almost as old as I am.
Do you? So a lot of people also think of it as a beer festival, and it's not, right? Like it's actually a celebration of agriculture and the economy.
Right. It's much bigger
in Munich,
than just beer.
Or in Belgium in general.
Yeah.
So it's interesting when people think of it, like you said, Beer Fest, the movie. It's actually think of it like for New Englanders, it's like the Big E.
Yeah.
But more, it's also, beer.
That's a good analogy, metaphor, whatever the hell.
Yeah. And I think analogy, right? So, yeah, the way you sort of look at it, I think, is it's that, obviously beer is a large, especially back then and now, too, is a large part of their economy. So that's why it's a big focus.
Yeah.
For sure.
Heavy beer drinking focus for sure.
Yeah, but I always think sausages and beers when you think Oktoberfest, right? Like...
Yeah, and it's every year it's held.
Some of us like to call that Tuesday.
It's not Tuesday yet.
Yeah, but it's a huge event. I think the Big E was a good analogy for us because the Big E is held over a few week period. Same thing with Oktoberfest. It's a 2-week period ending on the 2nd October of every year. So it's.
And fun fact.
Wait, there's 2 Octobers every year?
Mm-hmm.
The second Sunday.
Yeah, it's like
smart. You missed the word there.
You know March and March.
I even had the wrong word. First Sunday in October.
There you go.
God damn.
It's got to be your bowl.
You just said 2nd October.
I did tell you it was kind of a long day for me, right? Everything was going wrong.
Well, and the fun fact is that it starts in September.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, back in the 18 knots, it was in October. But the reason that they pushed it up was not for anything other than it's warmer in September. It literally, the idea is it's a celebration of October. So they're like, well, let's just be outside and enjoy our agriculture, enjoy our beers, enjoy food, and be a little warmer. It's that simple. It's pretty funny if you really think about it.
Those Germans, they're smart. SMRT, smart.
I love it. So that's a little history buff for everybody. Now we go into the beer, right? So like people know Oktoberfest beer. I'm sure like one of my first craft beers ever was like a Sam Adams Oktoberfest, right? Like I don't know, like
yeah, and this is where it tends to get a little confusing
Oh,
for
for
people
sure.
sometimes too, because you have your Oktoberfest beers and you have your fest beers, which are seemingly similar in name, and people very easily get the two confused. So
well,
back to your Sam Adams, the Oktoberfest.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
No, yeah, I knew you were going. Well, and I think the difference is too. So here's the challenge: marketing versus reality. America versus Germany, Belgium, Munich. So there's a difference. So like stuff in America, we're just naming things in essence, in the spirit of these beers. They're technically not. So in reality, an Oktoberfest beer, an official Oktoberfest beer, is the beer they serve during this festival. None other. You could still brew that same beer and serve it, but if you serve it outside that window, technically, based on their rules, it's not an Oktoberfest. So anything that's outside of that is just marketed as an Oktoberfest. So early on, pre-1990, I know you'll dig into this. We'll dig into styles a little bit, but it's interesting. So like fest beer is something that seems more new age, at least like in people's ears. Like, oh, what's a fest beer? What's this? Which we'll dig into. But Oktoberfest actually evolved its style of beer. So pre-1990, all traditional Oktoberfests were Marzens. And then post-1990, they turned them into fest beers. So and there's like an approval list, which I don't have in front of me. There's like a dozen or so that are officially allowed to be called Oktoberfest beers at the festival. But all those beers are fest beer styles.
Yep. And the cool thing about the Marzen style, so Marzen is German word for March. And the way this came to be was the beers were brewed in like March time, springtime, and stored until the end of summer, which is when the festivals would happen.
Right. And remember, we're talking 1800s, so they didn't have refrigeration, so they're storing these under like mountains and sheep and stuff like that probably. Said it, sheep. So it was aging or lagering, if you will, during this time.
I want a sheep-aged beer.
Too late. It's past the 1800s, buddy. So there's our little history buff, right? So that's why there is natural confusion, because technically you have this marketing in America. Now you have this marketing of the beer festival, Oktoberfest, and at one point, a Marzen was an Oktoberfest in the traditional sense, and then eventually it phased into a fest beer. So you haven't really said much, Pat. So I'm gonna put this on you. What is a Marzen?
Pat's on spot.
Marzen is a dark lager, right?
It's like a Vienna lager. Yeah.
There we go.
It's a little bit.
It's delicious.
What's the characteristics like that
it's malty.
when you think of it?
It's malty. Not hoppy at all. For a darker beer, it drinks very easy. I wish we brewed them more than just in the fall because they're delicious.
Yeah, I mean, I think you see them. I mean, my interpretation, Bill probably has something to add. Like, I see a Marzen being, once again, I think that's similar to the Oktoberfest. If Sam Adams is the example for now, that's sort of more in line with a Marzen. You're getting a more silky smooth, a little bit of caramel notes, a little bit of maybe oranginess coming from it.
Yeah, I was going to say caramel, a little nutty. It's more robust than a typical lighter lager style.
Still smooth. It's not like it's not like a brown ale, but it's still smooth.
It's not even flow,
but it's
so
nice.
I'm not drinking it that much.
So we can all sort of agree on that style for people who don't know. And then a fest beer, right, is that lighter. And I liked your description that you had mentioned like the other day. Why don't you break it down for the people at home?
So it's so the fest beer is the one that's Kevin mentioned the 1990s. So from the whatever year it was in the 90s on.
Whatever year in the 90s.
Whatever year it was, yeah. I don't remember what year you said specifically.
Somewhere between 1 and 9.
They transitioned from the Marzen style being the traditional beer of the Oktoberfest to the lighter fest beer style, which is it's just more of it's a lighter Pilsner base. You get biscuity character from it, a little bit of hoppiness, but not much at all. It's much cleaner. Oh yeah, it's definitely still a lager. Yeah, for sure. So I mean that's pretty much that style.
Yeah, I mean
it's
a little bit more refreshing. I didn't when I was doing a little bit of research on this, I didn't actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, I wish I looked up why it sort of transitioned. I'm not sure if it just was what they decided was more appropriate. as an Oktoberfest at one point.
Yeah, I didn't get that either. I didn't find the why.
There was probably one guy that brewed one first, and they crushed it that year, and everyone was like, I got to do what that guy's doing.
Yeah.
Because that's how the world
It
works.
also could be more indicative of, because we were talking about it, like, and maybe that's what, maybe I just skimmed over it, but because they were selling these in March, and Marzen technically is considered a March beer, with the improved technology, better lagering, yada, 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 it may be more indicative of the ingredients you're getting now, because you're not aging it, right? You're not making it in March, you're actually making it fresher for the festival itself. So that may be a change. The funny thing is that the ABVs are very similar. They're very sessionable. You're talking 5, 5.5, all the way up to 6.5 is like sort of the most that you're usually seeing a fest beer. A lot of times, which I'd seen was the higher ABV stuff is actually categorized as something else. They still may serve it during the festivals, but they a lot of times they'll make that same beer, but at like a 10 to 10.5%.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which was interesting.
I don't like that.
me either.
That's too many percents.
We're on that low ABV train.
Yeah, that's too many percents.
I mean, if you're not going anywhere, whatever. Eat a lot of sausages. You have a couple beers, it'll be fine. Yeah, but it's interesting. So I mean, just so people got home now, maybe now they won't. Now they know. They have learned a little bit about a festival beer.
So
And
what are we doing for Oktoberfest?
So no worries on the unofficial Oktoberfest train, because we're not in Germany and we're not on the approved list of Oktoberfest beers, but we made our own anyway. Bill, what are we doing?
Yeah, so we brewed a fest beer. It's called The Sign. It's in that tank right down there right now. I'm looking at it, pointing at it.
I'm not turning the camera. I'm too lazy.
It's fine.
I don't want to see the camera anyway, or the tank anyway.
Bill's words are killing it today, by the way.
I'm tired.
I'm so sleepy.
Anyway, so we have a fest beer coming out. We're going to be canning it for one, and we're also going to do an event when we release it. We haven't figured out all the details, but it's probably going to be a weekend-long event where you get some sort of glassware with your beer purchase. We're going to do it somewhat ticketed, reservation-based. The details will come, but...
Yeah. And available all weekend long. So the idea is, because we're in a social distance world, we want to do sort of like maybe a beer release thing where you get a liter glass. So you get a nice no worries liter glass. Filled to the brim with some fest beer.
Pat's laughing because he's thinking liter of cola.
Yes, I am. I'm still on Farva. It's for a cop.
So the idea is provide that so you can come down at your leisure. Normally we events are a little different, but trying to figure out. So that's a general scope of it. Is like, hey, you can come on down, get a ticket, reserve a seat, and then you're going to have that stuff sort of preset for you.
If you want more information about that, make sure you're subscribed to all our social media, Facebook, Instagram,
at No Worries Beer. Whatever it is, just at No Worries Beer.
Yeah.
Boom.
Absolutely.
So it should be a good time, though. And we the nice thing about the fest beer was we use some new malts. For those that are nerds.
Mm-hmm.
We've used it before, but we use it 100% in this one, which is an old world. So it's like a more earthy toned. You get a little bit of like straw in the nose.
Yeah, I definitely get straw when I was tasting it the other day for sure.
So it was nice.
Kind of like a hay straw.
I wouldn't know. Because I had to find out you were officially brewing the fest beer through Bill's social media posts, which I'm still bitter about.
I wish we didn't tell you until now. Just like,
I would have left.
Oh, by the way, Pat.
I would have left.
Then we did a nice little light dry hop on it. Give a little aroma, a little floral.
Just to round it out
it's
a little bit for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's lagering now, so which means it's aging cold
conditioning.
Coolly.
Cool.
Is that a signal for me to hit the button?
I don't know. It might be.
No, but So that's Oktoberfest. I think you were right.
I'm sure there's a lot
right.
more to it, but we kind of,
Yeah, that's a shotgun approach.
Did our best to symbolize
and
it.
They're hoping.
Is that a football segue?
Simplify it.
They're hoping in 2021 it's back on. So maybe we should do a live cast in Oktoberfest in 2021.
When we go to Germany?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
We'll bring the whole setup.
I bought a camera.
Let's do it.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Tom Amstein 2020. Till next time, keep living that hammock life.